Good evening, everybody. This is my practice run for my third Toastmasters Speechcraft course, which is entitled Organising Your Speech. My speech tonight is I have 6 ribbons. I have in my possession 6 ribbons. They're all a bit tattered. Some have stains on them, and two of them need repairs. But attached to them, to the end of each of these ribbons, is a medal. And each of these medals were given to my grandfather for his service to his country in World War II. And by the end of this speech, I hope that you, the audience, will come to know why these ribbons are so special to me. Albion Felix Paulson, service number 257285, enlisted in the New Zealand Army on the 24th of May 1941 at the age of 20 and became a private in the 25th Battalion. For passing boot camp at Trentham Army Camp and then completing 28 days field service during the war, my grandfather was awarded his first medal, the New Zealand War Service Medal. On the 10th of December that same year, he and his fellow buddies would have begun their adventure. Firstly, they headed off to Egypt to begin what would be months of further training in arduous conditions, with constant outbreaks of malaria, diarrhea, and poliomyelitis. Thankfully, my grandfather was not one of them. And while he was in Egypt, my grandfather was eligible for the 1939 to 1945 star. This medal was awarded for 180 days continuous service while in operations during World War II. I can remember my grandfather telling me that's because he didn't get the dysentery like all the other lads. On the 5th of March 1942, the 24th, 25th and 26th Battalions were sent to Greece. And while they were in Greece, they had only one major battle, in which British campaign history describes the battle as: on the 24th, there was an artillery duel lasting until the middle of the afternoon and culminating in attack on the 6th New Zealand Brigade at Maloes by infantry and tanks of the 6th Mountain and 5th Panzer Divisions. The weight fell on the 25th New Zealand Battalion, which stood firm, dealt with the German infantry and enabled the artillery to destroy about 14 tanks. After this battle, my grandfather received his next medal, the Africa Star. The Africa Star is granted for service in North Africa during the period from the 10th of June 1940 to the 12th of May 1943. And once this battle was over, the 25th Battalion withdrew and ended up on their way to Italy via Crete. Their second big involvement in the war was to be part of the 20-day Second Battle of El Alamein from the 23rd of October to the 11th of November 1943. They were part of the second phase of the battle, sent out to clear the northern part of the corridor. The next stop for these brave men was Cassino. It was February 1944. Our boys were part of the second and third battles of Operation Avenger. It was here, amongst the backdrop of olive groves and oak trees, that my grandfather was wounded as they attacked Monte Cassino, the great Catholic monastery. He was one of 172 soldiers who survived being hit during a 6-week arduous campaign. Unfortunately, 47 other soldiers didn't. For his time in Italy, he was awarded his next medal, the Italy Star. On the 28th of February 1975, my grandfather returned to New Zealand, after being wounded again in another skirmish with enemy forces. This time it was in Forley, where the battalion had been placed in reserve. Unfortunately, this time his wounds meant that he was not able to fight again. My grandfather was discharged from the army on the 26th of May 1945, and with his discharge he was awarded 2 more service medals. The first was the War Medal, 1939 to 45, and is granted for full-time service in the armed forces during the period of the 3rd of September 1939 to the 2nd of September 1945. And the second was the Defence Medal, which was awarded to British Commonwealth and British colonial personnel who served outside their home countries for more than 12 months during the war. My grandfather wasn't decorated with any special awards for bravery. He did what he had to do, what any young man who served their country did. They fought alongside their comrades. They just went and did. Grandy died nearly 2 years ago at the ripe old age of 90. He was the youngest of 12 children, the last of his generation. At his funeral, I wore these medals as a sign of my utmost respect for my grandfather and his influence on my life. These 6 little ribbons have pride of place in my life and in my heart, as they are a reminder of why we as people have freedom to walk down the street, travel the world, express our opinions, and live for each making moment of our life. Thank you for listening.